Good afternoon. It is March 7th, 2022. And really today, I, I guess you would have to call this a fairly large sell-off. I mean, if we quickly close this gap right here that was formed on the chart, you can see it actually closed right at the open. And then it was just downhill from there. So gap filled, and then once the gap filled, we had a sell-off. We hit these overnight lows right here and broke through that, tested the resistance level a couple times, and just continued on further. So let's take a look at these trades that I have marked. 5 o'clock comes in and you're just way too far from the EMA, but you get a first entry here and a second entry, and that fails, or I mean, it fails to go shorter. So those two legs, and really, I mean, you have this trend up and break right here, new high, first entry, second entry, doesn't set up, but you get this higher low with plenty of room to these highs. So I like that. And if you take the failure, you might think about that failure, but I don't like it. It's too far from the EMA. Then we break into this congestion, and right here you get a double test, but it's going right into that midline. It's just a little risky. Actually, though, if you see that we're clearly trying to fill this gap, I say you take that. It's still aggressive though, but it's off the EMA. I like that too. So we break higher, and nothing in here. This is probably a nice trap. Yeah, that looks like a really nice trap right here. So, I mean, look, we hit the measured move, and we had a break of this leg up and two legs up to a new high. So, and it looks like the trend is losing steam. So you got to be careful there. Here we got a second entry short, and then if you miss that, you get another second entry short. Both of those set up pretty well along the EMA. And then we're just far from the EMA, chopping around right here. We get form a range down here. And this is a second entry short, but this is clearly a level of resistance down here, or support, excuse me. So, you know, that's a little risky. Not a lot of room to these lows here. But then you get, you could look at this as like a second entry short. I mean, it's tough to say that though, because it's really a first, second, third entry. These are higher lows. Yeah, it looks like a double bottom, but if it's a double bottom, this is a first entry. So that's a big leg down. Hit that level of support again. No setup here for a second entry short. We form this range down here, and now, I mean, I'm looking to go to these lows, test these lows at this point. And I'm pretty sure I had a measured move drawn. Oh, okay, those are two measured legs right there. So this is just kind of like a triple test or a quadruple test. 1, 2, 3, yeah. And it's off the trend channel. So let's make this yellow. Yeah, it's like a quadruple test, first, second, third, fourth test off that channel. Room to these lows, but looks like we're fizzling out of this because we didn't come to the bottom of this support level. And indeed, it does eventually fizzle out. I don't see anything. This is a failure right here, but it doesn't set up well. Some people might have looked at it like a first failed second entry right here, failed second entry long. And they might have looked at it as like a second entry short right here, even though this breaks lower. Then we get this leg of correction. First failed second entry short. This looks like a double bottom. First failed second entry short. That's pretty risky though. But the reason I like that was because, we broke this channel, and this is just a leg of correction. And you can see even on a more short-term thing, we have this break of this channel, move to a new high. So actually, yeah, that makes it more risky. But you might look at that as one leg up, and then this is a leg to a new high. But anyway, First, doesn't, oh yeah, failure comes right here. So at that point, when this breaks, I would be looking for a failed second entry long, and first failed second entry long right here. So I'm going to mark this green, but look how congested that is. That's tough. That's tough to take. This looks like this is a second entry. It doesn't set up well, though. This might be a little confusing. Let me shrink this. So it looks like we hit the overnight lows right here, you can see. And we form a range there. And this turns out to be a channel down, I'm pretty convinced, but there's no setups, and this is at the overnight lows, so it's pretty confusing, like what's going to happen here. And then we bounce though here, and we make a higher low, and you get a second entry short. I do think that it's a little nerve-wracking just because we haven't made it to this potential support line, but we don't really know at this point what's happening, and it looks like we're trying to go lower, so I do like this setup, but it turns out to be a channel of correction going up. And if you're feeling very aggressive, you could take this second entry that's also failed. It's a second entry long, but it's also a failed second entry short. That turns out to be a nice move right there. And then this becomes a pretty important price level up here, and you can see we rocket up to this, make a first entry, second entry, but unfortunately the setup, the signal bar was not good. And technically it looks like it's a first, second, failed third entry. I really wanted to take that. Ended up being a good move. We bounce down here, make a higher low. It's just a higher low, but now it's really clear that this is a range. And so I did like that entry. Then we form a small range right here. I didn't make the lines yellow, but there's a small range here. So you could look at this as a breakout, failed breakout. And I was expecting prices to test these highs. They never made it there, but they came pretty close. And I mean, I think this one is a little too aggressive because we didn't make it to that high. You can see that's a lower high, lower high, lower high. So I marked that as green. But I don't know if you want to be. I think that's too risky given the fact that we're continuously making these lower highs. So I can't get this channel down. I'm going to delete it. That's clearly a channel down. And you get a first entry failed, second entry long right there. You know that trapped a lot of short or a lot of longs. Okay, right off that correction. That's a really, really nice trap if you're reading this thing well. You get a first entry, second entry. These signal bars are no good for a second entry. This one is a little aggressive because we're not sure about this channel down. The bias is clearly down though. And, you know, we might think we are making it to the top this time, but it's another lower high. Super bearish signal bar. I think you got to take that. This is a second entry. This is way too congestive though. I took this as a second entry and I got trapped here. So here's what I think. You can see the trend channel hasn't broke yet. And also this looks more like a double bottom than a first entry. So we're just trending down. I think that brings us to 1230. I don't like any of this personally, even though Mac always says this is a strong trend, these dojis and stuff, but nothing sets up to my liking, like nice and close to the EMA, and by the time it does it, we have a break. And yeah, I like this entry right here. It's a second entry short, so that's what I saw for today. And here, I actually took a couple entries today that I was like by accident. I meant to switch to my practice account, so I gotta stop doing that. I took this lower high right here. I don't have this trade marked. I don't think you can take that. It's just a lower high. And you can see we didn't hit that level of support down here. So I missed this and got eager. So And then I went long here. This is an aggressive move, but it is a good entry. I think it's too advanced for someone of my skill level. Here, I do like this entry. This is a higher low, reading it like a range. So we're chopping back and forth pretty clearly. So I like that. I'm not going to go over the rest of, well, I might as well. I got short right here on a first entry, and it looks like it stopped. All right, I got it, my target hit, but you can't be taking first entries like that. Look, they trapped those people who came in too early. People who waited, it paid off. Went short right here on the second entry, but that's just a double bottom. So I think I learned quite a bit today. I hope everyone had a good day. I'll be back tomorrow.